Good day, Linda.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? How was?
Good.
Are you still in Florida?
I am.
Nice.
I am. Yep. It's all good. There I am. It's all good.
There you- Oh, I should have. Yeah, if I had seen your backdrop, I would have known.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I took a little spill last week and my back is not doing well. So
Ooh, that's
yeah, not
good.
too happy.
Yeah. You better be careful.
I know. I know. Hopefully it gets better soon. I'll
It
be
will.
back. I'll be back in 2 more weeks.
Oh, good. That'll be good. And hi, Miriam.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, Eric.
There's Tim Logan's back.
Tim is in the closet.
What? No, I'm here. Hi.
Hi. It looks like a chemist.
You never know. All right.
All right, here comes, okay, I have an iPhone guest that we'll wait to see who that is. I think our iPhone guest must be Kristen.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
I didn't give you something for this one. is what you're saying?
Kristen, I'm gonna change your name, okay?
Hey, Rita.
That's fine.
Hello.
It's October, so I just thought you gave me this back.
Yeah, no, because you only gave me the 1 month.
Well,
You gave me this
well, at
one.
least I gave you the older one.
Yeah, well,
I'll
next
take
time,
it.
I figured next time's fine.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Any more entertaining things for us to listen to?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's it.
I'll leave the door open.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. We hadn't started yet. Oh. Here comes Taylor. Okay, so Melissa should be here soon. Okay, we have another co-op power guest and another iPhone guest. Hello, co-op power. Can you tell us who you are so we can change your name?
You need to unmute.
Sorry, I'm changing my name. Mary Ann
Oh.
Connor.
Oh, thank you so much. And there was another iPhone. There's someone who's iPhone guest. Can you let me know who you are? We had one, but that was Officer, I'm sorry, that was Acting Chief Kristen Burgess.
Hi, Elizabeth Fernandez O'Brien. Mine says iPhone, and I'm looking on my phone as to where I can change it to my name.
Okay, I can do it for you, Elizabeth.
Okay, just put Fernandez O'Brien. Thanks.
Okay. With an S, Fernandez?
Yes, no, with a Z,
I'm
not
sorry.
the Portuguese, the
Okay.
Spanish version. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to mute now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and Mateo is in here.
And
And
Mateo, I just wanted to let you know, we're doing the appointment. It's on the agenda for 6:30, but you're more than welcome to stay for the select board meeting. But we'll be discussing the CPC appointment at 6:30.
I did see that. Thank you.
Okay.
okay.
Dinner with the select board. Hello.
Hello, I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Joan Hanson is just having dinner with the select board. Thank
Oh,
you.
wonderful.
What's for dinner, Joan?
Yeah, really, what's for dinner?
Almost ready, so I'll eat while you peruse your agenda.
Great.
That's interesting entertainment, Joan, for a Tuesday night.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else, Becky, that you wanted to check on before we start the meeting?
We're looking good. Everybody was
Okay.
very helpful.
Okay, great, thanks. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order of the Shutesbury Select Board for November 9th, 2021. And the first order of business on our agenda is for public comment. So if you want to make up comment, anybody from the who's not on the board, we just ask that you use the raised hand signal. So at the bottom of your screen, you go to reactions and you can raise your hand that way. It's just easier to see hands that way. So if there's anybody who has public comment, we would love to hear from you this evening. All quiet out there? Doesn't look like, okay, doesn't look like there's any public comment.
it.
So
Could
I miss-
could I just confirm, Zach, are you patrolman too?
I am. I couldn't get my login information in time to start the meeting.
Okay, that's okay. I'm just gonna put Officer Warner. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
And just for those of you who are here this evening as we go through this process, what we're doing at the beginning of meetings is just making sure that we know who's at the meeting. It's both for inclusion in the minutes, but also we have had a problem with Zoom bombing and a pretty extreme session where it got really complicated. So what I think we're going to do moving forward, and I know the police study committee talked about this last night, is that if you don't identify yourself, we'll give you a couple of chances to identify yourself, and then you will be eliminated from the meeting. And if there's an issue, like you're calling in on a phone and you can't change your name, or there's been some problem, you can email the town administrator and let her know that you are trying to get into the meeting. And I'll try to repeat this at future meetings because we don't want to exclude anybody. People have felt like they were kind of cut out, but if we have anonymous attendees, we don't know if they are in fact really the people, legitimate people, and not Zoom bombing, which is what happened to us the last time. So so going forward, that is what we would ask everybody to do. Again, either please have your name, respond when Becky asks for you to identify yourself, and if you have a problem, email town administrator at shutesbury.org.
and you can, if you call my my office number, it will email my phone, even if I'm downstairs and not in my office, but I can reach it, if you can reach me by phone or email, if there's an issue you have getting into a meeting, I will make sure everybody knows and we'll do what we can to facilitate you and get you into the meeting.
Yeah, we're not trying to exclude anybody. We're just trying to keep these meetings running without interruption. So I do see a hand from Doc Prune.
How are you? How are you? Yes, my name is Doc Prine. I'm a reporter with The Reminder, and I will be observing the meeting. So be aware
Great,
that
well,
your
welcome.
comments can be on the record.
Great. Okay, we'll thank you for attending. It's nice to get coverage for Shutesbury. We've struggled at times to get noticed, so we
glad.
really appreciate your attendance Becky, did you have a?
I had a message from Linda that she had trouble getting in. I'm just trying to find her. I'm not sure if she's in, and since she's our minute taker.
Becky,
Linda,
there's
are you
someone
minute-
coming.
Are
It
you
looks like
meeting host?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
it looks like someone's coming in as meeting host. Maybe that could be her.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Is she all the way in?
Not yet.
And
I'm
then-
also hearing that Nate is having trouble getting in, so I'm not sure if you'll see him coming through, Becky.
Okay, I'll be on the lookout. And
Oh, Grace, I see Grace. Let's see who else.
okay, so there's, I think, meeting host, Linda, is that you? Are you able to unmute? There
There
she
she is.
Okay. You're a little frozen, but hopefully it'll all work out.
Linda, can you tell us, do you can hear us okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments during the public comment period? Okay, so I'm just gonna review the agenda. Yeah,
Linda's,
Yeah, you just, I don't know if there, I just got here, so I don't know if there were any comments.
just that we have Doc Prime from the Greenfield Reminder,
Okay, thank you.
which is the free paper.
Thank you for pronouncing my name right.
We try. Okay, so I'm just going to run through the agenda for tonight. We did have a change in the agenda kind of at the end of the day yesterday and this morning. So there was originally a executive session scheduled for this evening, but that has been postponed and will likely happen in a couple of weeks. So we have tonight, Kristen Burgess, our acting police chief, talking about staffing and appointments. And Kristen, I don't know if you are going to do the update or Melissa will be doing an update on the police study committee, which had a meeting last night. We're going to talk about the town's energy committee. We have a contract for the Upper Pioneer Valley veterans, appointment of a land use clerk, update on PFAS, and then we have some appointments to a resignation appointment to the Community Preservation Committee. We'll have folks from the library trustees here to talk about identification of the site for the new library, and then town administrator updates, assistant town collectors. So we have a pretty full agenda this evening. I will try to keep us to our schedule, and I appreciate everybody's patience as we go through this very full agenda this evening. So what I'd like to do is now turn it over to Kristen Burgess, our acting police chief, to talk about staffing and appointments and where you are with that, Kristen.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Good evening. So just before I get started, we are still having trouble with someone logging on, Nate logging on. Would we be able to flip and get the update about the study group first and then see if I was able to get him logged on after that?
Eric, Melissa, are you okay with just?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me.
switching Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great. So Melissa, I'm going to hand it off to you and
Okay.
maybe Kristen to give us an update as to where the police study committee.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So we've met several times. Now we had a couple meetings we had to postpone and reschedule, but we've worked on the charge. Certain people are working on assignments. We have begun a draft of, last night was a big meeting, a long meeting actually, on the survey that we hope, the committee hopes to give to the public, to get some data and some information from the public. Upcoming is a budget session with some budget information on local towns, our town. And then we also have established a glossary of terms, because we realized as we were going through some of our work that we all had different ideas of what different types of formats could look like. And so we took the time to pause and do a glossary of terms so that everyone was on the same page, and that we're all thinking of different formats of a police department, all in the same way. So that was very helpful. The one thing that I have grown concerned about, and I don't know if Kristen can talk a little bit about this, is I think there's a feeling with this study group, there has been a feeling with the officers in the department that it's an unsettled feeling. We're looking at their jobs with a microscope. We're looking at everything they do. And I'm a little concerned that there's an over sense that this group is creating there with some low morale and stuff. And I just want to make sure we're cognizant as we go through these talks. And I just want to make the select board aware that that feeling is kind of, it may be growing. I don't know. I haven't asked directly, but I'm concerned that we're weakening the foundation there. And I know one of our officers has stated his reason for leaving was part of our study group. So I just want to make sure we're doing due diligence and making sure we're supporting them, but also able to do the study group as well. So I just want to bring that to the select board, and just so you guys know that that's kind of going on as part of, or a kind of an overshadowing of what the process we're in is doing. So Becky or Kristen, did I forget anything about the process we were in? I think I caught everything.
Yeah, you talked about the survey.
Yep.
And the spreadsheet of all the data logs, and we're going through this. Yeah, I think you covered everything.
And we're getting everything up online. It's taken us a little bit to do that, but we're at the point where most things I think will be up online now or very shortly. So.
Yep, the last night's meeting is up online as of today.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have 2 logs we're missing for the entire year.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
So that's
Thanks.
kind of my update. Kristen's got her hand up.
Yep, Kristen.
I think that Melissa said it beautifully. It is not that we do not want for the town to look into what they feel they need to look into, but it is giving us a hit to our team morale, and the way the questions are being posed, I think is the hard-hitting point. I don't want to lose any more officers that I don't have to lose. We have incredible people that are seeking out our town for specific reasons, and I just don't want to see them go.
Questions from or comments from Eric or Melissa? Anything else you want to add about the police study committee? I think the goal is, and I'm on the committee too, Melissa's chairing, is to wrap this up as soon as possible, but get all the work done, but not to prolong the process. And certainly what we want to be able to do is have something done as we're entering this budget process, so budget period. So if there are any questions, overall, my take is that it's difficult sometimes to sort of encounter questions. I for one have thought that it was really useful. I've learned a lot about the police department and the kinds of activities and more about community policing that I've known. So I think there's a lot of support. It never hurts to kind of take a look at how we're doing things, but I think it can only make us stronger. So again, I think the goal, and I know Melissa has this, is interested in getting this done. So thank you. Is everybody here now? Kristen, Nate, is it Nate who?
So,
who we're waiting on?
Taylor, were you able to get him through your speaker?
I've got Nate on the phone right now, and we are trying to test out the audio to see if he can hear everyone okay, and if everyone's going to be able to hear him okay. Nate, do you want to try saying hi?
Hello, I heard everything Taylor just said.
Was
Okay,
anybody able to hear
fantastic.
him?
So Rita, I think we are ready to move forward then.
Okay, great. Kristen, do you want to talk about staffing and appointments that you are looking at for the kind of where you are in terms of staffing and what appointments you're asking us to make to the police department?
Yes, thank you. As I stated in the last meeting, as we lost Marcus to another department, losing Marcus is like losing 3 part-time officers. I'm trying to get the staffing up to where we have the coverage that I believe is best for the town and what the town has always expected. In doing so, I have been working diligently and seeking out people that would be good for our department. I actually had Nathaniel Massey, who we've been working really hard to get on our Zoom meeting tonight, reach out to me. And he very purposefully sought out looking for a small department to work for. And in talking with him, I feel that he would be a very good match for our department and that he would have a lot to offer. Nathaniel went to the Reserve Intermittent Police Academy, which we have talked in length about as the quote part-time trained academy. He is eligible for the Bridge Academy in year 2, and he brings he could bring to our department great community policing skills. He comes from jobs where that has been very prevalent in the job atmosphere. So I am looking to get the select board's approval to appoint Nathaniel Massey to our police department. I think he is on right now and he would be happy to answer any questions. I myself have been very impressed with him. I'm impressed with his knowledge and I'm impressed with his eagerness. He is very willing and excited to work in a small community and do the kind of community policing that we take such great pride in.
So Nate, do you want to add anything? It was a little hard to hear you before, but let's try and see if there's anything you want to tell us about yourself.
Go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, if I may.
Speak loud.
Members of the select board and chief and delegates of Chief's Police Department, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I originally was at, well, I guess I still am, a bigger city police department. And there were some things that I'm not going to say were issues, but there were things that people could talk about. And I wasn't a full-time member there. I was part-time. And I took a step back and was wondering what I could do to sort of enact that old school, police walking around patrol, talking to citizens, residents, business owners, getting to know them. And that was something that I garnered a very big interest in. And when Officer Boudry had mentioned that, well, there is an opening, I applied. And it was something that I thought a very large amount of interest in, not only because I'm not sitting here thinking that I can make, this massive amount of difference, but if there was something I could do for a small community to get to know them and sort of have a chance to bring back that that sort of small town policing. Why do you want to do this? Who do you know in the community type thing? It sort of shows that you're not out there because you want to arrest people and get people in trouble and hurt people. You're out there because you want to know them and you want to know what ails them and you want to know, is there something wrong? And if there is there anything I can do to help? And to Chief's credit, even to give me the opportunity to speak before you, to allow me to explain that and sort of delve deeper into the idea of small town community policing, which, depends on who you talk to, is an old school idea. I think that there's benefit in bringing it back. And to be honest, that's why I'm here. I would love to be able to do that, to get to know the small town, to work in that capacity. That's maybe crude, but that's the best I can offer.
I am so upset that you all can't see him and really get the full feeling because he just has a really great presence about him and really his caring nature shines through.
I will admit I got to see him Halloween at the fire station, so I got to meet him in person, and to see him interact with townspeople, and it was a very good interactions.
And Kristen, how many hours maybe you can talk about the staffing and sort of where Nate fits into the staffing picture here?
Yes, so we try to keep our part-timers at under 20 hours. And that is so that we are not consistently going over and violating any sort of retirement issues or anything like that. And I have been very blessed to have officers that are willing to step up to help out and assist, but it can't go long term. So basically, I will have, as Taylor and I are permanent part-time, I will have the other officers, so Megan Gallo and Zach Warner and hopefully Nathaniel Massey, they will rotate shifts throughout the week, and 1 to 2 shifts a week each is what we're looking at. That is going to keep us at the coverage of 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. For the time being.
Okay,
it's just tough, Rita, sometimes when somebody has a need for a vacation or unfortunately falls ill and we need to have that covered. So it's great to have, the ability to be able to cover everybody.
Good, thank you. So do I hear a motion to appoint, it's Nate, I want to make sure I have his last name. Massey. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Nathan Massey to the Shutesbury Police Department.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. All those in favor?
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do we have any other appointments tonight, Kristen?
No, I think that's going to hold us together for a little bit longer. And hopefully when we start coming to the conclusion with the study group, we'll be able to know what the needs are further. But for now, that remedies the situation. So thank you everyone very much. And congratulations, Nate. We look forward to having you as a part of our team.
Thank you.
You're
Nate.
on, Nate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
to the other.
To the select board, I did my best at university to attempt to be able to have you see me this evening, but to the depth of what I'm able to offer, I do appreciate it to the utmost respect, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Nate.
Great. And thanks to the members of the police department who joined us this evening.
Yes.
Nice to see your faces. Okay, anything else, Kristen, that you want to cover?
I think that's it for this evening. I will get on the agenda in the future for some other topics, but I think that's all I need to talk about at this time. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is to talk about the Shutesbury Energy Committee, which has been in existence for a while, and about the potential for looking at reconfiguring the Shutesbury Energy Committee. And I don't know, Becky told me we've had an energy committee. I thought it was only 16 years, but apparently it's been since 1979, I think you.
1977.
1977. And, we were talking about energy issues and back in 1977, and here we are in 2021 with a whole different scale of problem. So Melissa and Eric, did you get a copy of the draft proposal that I put together?
I don't think I did. If
Hold
I
on,
did,
let
I
me
missed
just-
it.
Let me just search here.
It was this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
You want me
well, I
to
have
put it on screen?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 minute.
I was out of internet today, out of range.
So just as Becky's doing that, just to give you a little bit of background, I know there has been a lot of discussion about solar, and there will be a lot of discussion about solar going into the future, and just about resilience. And we've done a lot of research. We did a lot of planning, the municipal vulnerability plan and a hazard mitigation plan, which are all related to climate change. So what I am proposing is that we reconfigure the Energy Committee to be an Energy and Climate Action Committee. We have some blueprints in the MVP study and in our hazard mitigation plan. And we also had the original charge of the Energy Committee, which you can see down at the bottom of the page, that the committee would study and make recommendations regarding energy policies and approaches, conservation. And beyond that, what I wanted to propose is that we then also fold in all of this data and information that we have gathered in the MVP plan and in the hazard mitigation plan. And it's a pretty large order for one committee, but I don't, my vision, and this is obviously something that we want to talk about, and not decide tonight, because I don't think Eric or Melissa has had sufficient time to really review this. But to think about this committee being, working with other town boards and committees to make sure that in everything that we do, we are thinking about where do we as a community want to go in terms of our approach on energy efficiency, conservation, and how do we bring that awareness to everything that we do in Shutesbury. So all of our departments, and we have a lot of recommendations around the hazard mitigation plan and the municipal vulnerability, and it affects everything from the highway department to you know, the planning board, you know, all committees. So what I think now we have the Energy Committee, which I believe only has 3 members and has not, as far as I know, has not met in a very long time. And, but that we would reconfigure this to be a 7-member committee appointed by the select board. And what I laid out here is, and this is all draft, is what the charge would be of this committee. So, you know, I don't know how much more talking I should do. You know, maybe if Melissa or Eric, if you have any questions, and then I would take questions from the audience after that.
I think this is a good idea of bringing everything together rather than having several places, you know, working on it. Although those committees will have to, you know, keep that work going. But not having reviewed this fully, I don't quite have any questions, but it feels comfortable.
Okay. And I know, Eric, this was something that I recall you talking about when you were running for select board.
Right.
And that actually kind of prompted my my interest in it. And then thinking, you know, we have these other plans. Let's kind of broaden the charge of the Energy Committee and think, because it's related to the kind of larger climate mitigation issues, climate change mitigation.
Right. I guess what I was thinking of mostly was that, you know, in the big solar issue that we're all, you know, facing in the future here for the town forests and so forth. But it just sort of seemed to me there's a lot of things that this town probably agrees on. I mean, maybe not that, but I mean, but in general, I think people they believe in global warming. They want to do things to mitigate the situation. You know, the idea to me would be sort of like, what could we have a committee that sort of, well, sort of address different ways to look at things. So I think it's a great idea.
So I see at least 2 hands up. And Miriam, I think I saw yours first. If you're unmuted, you can go ahead and speak.
Lower my hand.
Okay.
So, you know, I think this sounds like a really great idea. And, you know, I'm seeing the way that you have it sort of laid out, Rita, is kind of a climate action or climate resilience task force or committee. And it makes me think about the overlap with the Water Resources Committee, which I think is also a very critical related issue that's affected by climate change. So I'm wondering, and that committee has not been active much as far as I'm aware. And I'm wondering about whether it makes sense to combine those 2 possibly. So that rather than, you know, trying to have 2 committees that maybe are spread too thin. And then the other question I have for you is, would the select board consider having representatives from some of the boards, like having planning board or Concom reps, like you've done with like the LWAC committee and some of the others?
That's certainly up for discussion. You know, this is just a draft, so your comments are appreciated and noted. And I think after everybody has a chance to kind of go through this, you know, we will at another meeting or 2 meetings, you know, come to finalize this plan. But thank you for your comments. Sure. I think Michael, did you have your hand up? Yeah.
Cool. Let me just take my other hand down here. So I'm massively in favor of this. And I guess I just want to comment, having worn two hats. I think more recently, being the person who wrote the MVP grant on behalf of the select board, that was a really robust process. I worked with Becky on it. I think there was probably around 40 people. We had broad community representation as well as committee representation. And I think the recommendations, I've brought this up, I think, at the select board in the last year or so, and definitely at the planning board a couple of times, but we have a roadmap, at least for climate mitigation strategies. So Eric, your point, there's lots of stuff to be done. There's a top priority, there's a secondary, and there's a tertiary, and it's all outlined in it. We had a consultant and it's been vetted and reviewed. And I think the challenge right now is it's essentially been sitting on the shelf for 2 years. And partly it's the pandemic, but also I like this layout because you need sort of like traffic cops to sort of coordinate, and what I like about this is that every committee has got its area of responsibility. So there's water resources, there is FinCom, there's highway, there's so many different parts of this. They can be done simultaneously or they can be done in conjunction with each other. But I think taking advantage of the work we've already done with MVP report, and I haven't seen the hazard mitigation one, but I'm assuming it's very related. So just on the mitigation and adaptation, there's a lot, and it's just, my sense is oftentimes committees are working in silos, so they're not necessarily talking to each other. And I think reporting back to the select board makes a lot of sense, because the select board really is sort of the hub of the town. Not that the select board can do the work, but they should be noting what's going on, whether it's for financing, prioritization, grant writing, et cetera. So that's I love the idea. I think the other part that I like, and I think Melissa's probably the only one who would remember, but when we were, when I was on select board, I was very frustrated with the energy committee. There was a period where we asked the energy committee to report to the select board on what was going on, several meetings in a row, and no one showed up. And then at some point we actually did vote to change the mandate to try to broaden it. And so I think it's time to refresh. It'd be nice if we really dealt with solar in the 1970s, but we didn't. And so now is, we have a different, broader, more urgent scope, both in terms of, what we can do, climate wise, in terms of reducing our impact, but also preparing for, like the MVP report talks about the people part of it. If we have more storms, what's that mean for seniors, or what's that mean for travel and food? So it's not just sort of the energy part of it. So I think creating a new committee that has different perspectives on it and then can sort of interface with the select board and all the other committees is awesome, and I'll continue to support it. So thank you for bringing it forward, Rita. I appreciate it.
And just one quick comment, what I did, and I kind of went back and did some research around what I saw that the Energy Committee had back, I think in 2018, changed its charge. So I incorporated that language into this draft. So let's see, Meryl, I think you were next, and then Marianne after that.
You very briefly. I think it's a good idea to include under the charge an item that is going to be more and more grant money available for climate issues and environmental related issues. And I think the charge should include looking for those grant opportunities and not necessarily doing the grants, because they would need to do that in conjunction with other town staff, but at least put them on the forefront of looking for grant options for the town to try to implement some of the goals of the committee.
Yeah, great suggestion. Thank you. Marianne, I think you're next.
I also want to applaud the connection of energy and a much more holistic approach through connecting climate action with that. And I mean, we certainly have been learning that community solar doesn't necessarily mean it serves the community. So I I really applaud this effort to bring that together in a much more holistic way. Two things. I've loved to be part of this committee. I have a background in regenerative design, so is this going to be open for people to apply to be part of it? And also from a regenerative design perspective, all of this wording is about mitigation and doesn't really incorporate the potential for what regenerative design talks about, which is a reversal and a turnaround of climate change, which is happening in a lot of regenerative design settings. So I guess that just to state, it's not all going in a wrong direction. It doesn't have to all, if we design correctly, it doesn't have to all be a downward spiral. So those are my question and a point.
Good. Thank you for that. If Marianne, if there's some background information that you think would be useful on regenerative design, I'd really appreciate seeing that. And maybe you could send it to Becky and then she could share it with all the select board members, because she's kind of the focal point, and then we'll send stuff out to us. So that would be really useful. In terms of the appointments, I think we will subject when the board gets a chance to discuss it, we'll discuss what that process, how we'll go about. But thank you for offering to volunteer for it. Always looking for good volunteers. Carlos, I think you are next.
I just like to make a suggestion that as part of the charge of this committee, it would include also staying abreast of the latest climate science, and especially how it affects Massachusetts, and even research that focuses on this area, and that the charge would be to use that scientific information to inform any kind of policy that we would do here or end projects.
Okay, great. Thank you for that suggestion. Any other comments, suggestions? Tonight's not your last opportunity to send suggestions to the select board. Again, I would ask that folks who have ideas, recommendations, forward those along to our town administrator, Becky Torres, and she will then distribute everything back. And I think Eric and Melissa, my recommendation, if you guys are in agreement, is that we revisit this at our next meeting, assuming we have time within the agenda, so we can both make some movement on this and also be thinking about whether or not for this upcoming budget, we want to provide some funding for this committee.
Sounds good to me.
I agree.
You good, Melissa?
Yep,
Okay.
I agree. Yep.
Becky, anything else that we've
No,
need
this
to
is
cover in this?
this is a wonderful start. I did want to ask Marianne what your last name is. I'm sorry, I don't know it for my notes.
Oh, it's Connor.
Thank you very much.
Connor. And does the town have a sustainability committee yet, or is this kind of the beginning of that effort?
This is the beginning of that effort. We've worked through the MVP process that Michael already mentioned. It was a little difficult because we had to do it during COVID, so our public meetings were all on Zoom. Fortunately, we did get 50 people to a few of those meetings, but I think we would have done better in a non-COVID time. But the thing is a hazard mitigation plan that we have was submitted to the state about 8 months ago. It just got returned by the state, approved, and will be coming to the select board at their next meeting. So we are, we have been addressing these issues at the state level, and which will help us get grant funding for these types of projects in the future.
Thank you.
Carlos, I think your hand is still up. If you can, if you could take it down, it's just, I see that up in the corner of my screen. Thank you. Unless you had something else to say. Okay, thank you everybody and again, if you didn't speak up tonight and you have ideas, suggestions, recommendations, please forward them along, and we will be working on this, and I hope working towards getting a committee designated by the select board very soon, because there's lots of work to do, lots of catching up to do. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is we have an update on the contract for the Upper Pioneer Valley Veterans Group. And Becky, do you want to give us that update?
Yes. So the Upper Pioneer Valley Veterans District is put together a contract for the next 3 years of service. The way it's organized now changed a few years ago. It's been working out well. We do have some time to review the contract. They would like this contract back by April 1st. This is a regional agreement between, I think we have 26 member towns ranging from Ashfield to Whately. And I am going to be requesting that Al Springer attend an upcoming meeting and review whether he has any concerns or what he appreciates about the new structure. I just wanted the select board to be aware that the 3-year contract is now has been approved by the Upper Pioneer Valley Veterans, and we have received it, and we will be talking more about it so we can do a thoughtful review and approval of it in the next month or so.
Good, thank you. Any questions, Eric or Melissa, on the
No.
Veterans Contract? Okay, all right. Great, so the next item on the agenda is the appointment of a land use clerk. And I don't know if we have, Becky, you're gonna handle the others.
Unfortunately, we are still working our way through the references. So hopefully we will have them completed by the 17th, which is the select board is meeting again on the 17th. I had hoped that we would be all the way through them by today. I was given email addresses as opposed to phone numbers, which I have found more problematic in getting responses. So that's where we are right now, but by next week, we will likely have another answer. The zoning board chair, the conservation commission chair, and the planning board chair all met with Adrienne Wallace, who is the candidate that we are hopeful will take the job. But she is, I see Concom is here tonight. Miriam, did you want to speak to about the candidate?
Yeah, I'm really was very impressed with her, and she would be really great. And I think the other chairs felt the same way, and we can work something out.
Michael, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just for the planning board, I haven't met the person, but I think we would all really appreciate having a permanent land use clerk. Ever since Linda left, it's been, we're behind in our minutes. So, that was an issue in the past before we had a clerk. And I think just with all the things going on, being able to be accountable to the town and having someone who can provide documentation in a less sporadic way would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we'd all like to see somebody in that job. So the select board is going to be kind of out of our regular cycle. So we have a meeting on the 17th. We'll be meeting again on the 23rd, but it looks like we're going to try to do this at the meeting on the 17th, correct, Becky?
Yes, because of the urgency, people are very hopeful that she will take the job and eager for her to get to work.
Okay, great. Okay, the next item is the PFAS update, which we've been doing pretty much at every select board meeting. So Becky, that's you again.
The PFAS information flow is slowing down. At this point, I have no new positive PFAS tests in town in over a month. The DEP has done a very thorough job. I think they are now moving on to the stage where they are reviewing all the data that they got. The big question for them now is where did it come from? I think at the fire station, we have a pretty clear picture what happened there. The flame retardant spray was used by the fire department in trial, in training and trials with vehicles and putting out fires in the backyard behind the fire station, which ended up being very close to where the wells were dug. So unfortunately, that one's clear. Where it's not clear is in the area of Old Orchard, where it's a bit of a mystery why there's such concentration of homes impacted by PFAS there. And that's where DEP will be doing more research to figure out what caused it and hopefully find a way to mitigate it long term.
Could that be the peach orchard that used to be there, back in the day? I suspect that might have something to do with it. If I had to guess.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And Becky, how many homes were affected, had to get the filtration systems?
There were only 2 homes that the town was responsible for. But the town was also responsible for the highway department and the fire station. One of the homes still has not received its 3rd test identifying whether or not PFAS has continued. So I'm continuing to deliver 5-gallon jugs of water to the home next to the fire station. But all the rest of the tests have been, all the rest of the buildings with filters have been tested a second time and are effective, which is a very good thing. And hopefully we have discovered as many as we will discover. There is one random house on West Pelham Road, I'm sorry, on Pelham Hill Road that is also being investigated. But we haven't had any new occurrences since that time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that update. So the next item on the agenda, we have a resignation to accept. I believe these are all votes and they're separate votes. So I'll take them sort of one by one. So we had a resignation from the Community Preservation Committee from Zell Florinina. She had a conflict and she was the designee from the Historic Commission. So we're sorry to lose her, but we do have a replacement for Zell. So do I hear a motion to accept the resignation of Azelle Florinina from the Community Preservation Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote just for these votes to.
Okay.
So all those in favor of accepting the resignation?
Makepeace O'Neill, I.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. So we have 2 appointments to the Community Preservation Committee. One is to replace Ezell and Henry Geddes, who is currently chairing and who's with us this evening. Will be replacing Ezell as the Historical Commission's representative to the Community Preservation Committee, and there was unanimous acceptance of Henry by the CPC. So do we have a motion to appoint Henry Geddes to the Community Preservation Committee as the Historic Commission's representative?
I so moved.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, I.
Stalker, aye.
And Farrell, aye. We have another appointment to the Community Preservation Committee. There is an at-large seat. Most of the members of the CPC, of which I am on the Community Preservation Committee, represent the interests of the different kind of areas that CPC covers, including community housing, open space, recreation, and historic preservation. But we do have an at-large seat, and we had one very qualified applicant for that CPC position who has joined us this evening. His name is Matteo Pangallo, and Matteo, I thought it'd be good if you could introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am an associate professor of English. My family, we've lived in Western Mass for a number of years. We rented in Shutesbury here for about 4 years. In fact, my youngest child was born here in Shutesbury. And we were fortunate enough to buy a house in this crazy market here in Shutesbury. And we wanted to be here. We moved away for a while, but came back because we loved it and wanted to put down our roots here and raise our kids here. And I've always maintained that service to the local community is important, and local government's been part of a family tradition of sorts for a while. So I felt like I had to get involved in some way or another, and it seemed like the ideal opportunity. Before going into academia, I did work in the sectors of cultural, artistic, and historical tourism and development for a number of theater companies, the PBD Essex Museum, Essex National Heritage Commission, and elsewhere. And so when I saw the opening available at CPC, it seemed like the ideal fit for me.
Great. Thank you. Eric or Melissa, any questions for Matteo?
No, that sounds great.
So Matteo did get the unanimous endorsement of the CPC. So do I hear a motion to appoint Matteo Pangallo to the Community Preservation Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, I.
Stalker, aye.
And Farrell, aye. We also have 2 cultural council appointments, which I don't have any background information. Linda, I'm sorry. Unmute.
Yep. Thanks, Rita. So basically, there are actually 3 members of the Cultural Council whose terms have expired. Their terms are different than everyone else's because they're related to the Mass Cultural Council. Anyway, two people, Rory is working on obtaining responses from Val Gilman and Becca Wheeler, though you could reappoint Rory Valentine. Her term actually expired on August 7th. So if you would like to do a retroactive appointment for her, and then you can do the other ones at a future meeting.
Okay, and so Rory has been on the Cultural Council.
Yes, she's the chair.
She's the.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess I can't do much without her being reappointed.
yeah, she better be there then.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to appoint Rory Valentine to the Cultural Council?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, we'll again do a roll call vote. All those in favor?
Okay, sorry. Makepeace
okay.
O'Neill, aye.
Stalker eye.
And Farrell, aye. So Linda, the other two members will come to a future select board meeting?
No, they're current members, so once Rory, as the chair, confers with them that they want to continue, then she'll email their decision.
Okay, and when do their terms expire?
They have expired on October 16th for Val and October 2nd for Becca Wheeler.
Okay.
Yeah, so I contacted Rory because I noticed, and usually, sometimes I hear from her about renewals, but I hadn't heard, and so that's why I checked. You also did receive an email from BZ about an appointment to the Recreation Committee of Anne Brigham.
Yeah.
I contacted BZ and let her know we were not doing that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, because it came yesterday. The agenda was set, and the reason I'm not moving ahead, I just have to verify the numbers on the Recreation Committee has bounced around over the years, but the current number has been 5. And I want to be sure that you take appropriate action before we appoint over the current number. The select board might need to vote an increase in their membership before that appointment is made.
Okay, and that will likely again be at the regularly scheduled meeting on
the
23rd.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And we have a committee that we have been planning to get appointments to look at the fire department. Our fire chief, for those of you who don't haven't heard this, our fire chief, Walter Tibbetts, will be retiring at the end of this fiscal year, so as of June 30th. And we're just going to take this opportunity to take a look at the structure of the fire department going forward. And I don't recall which meeting we discussed this, but Becky, can you just give us an update as to where we are in terms of appointments?
Yeah, so the select board requested that Elaine Paleo represent them. The personnel board has asked April Stein to represent them. Kristen Burgess, the acting police chief, is also being appointed to the committee along with Walter Tibbetts as the current outgoing fire chief. And the finance committee, I apologize, I just have to check. Wasn't George. It was Jim Walton for the fire department.
Finance committee.
The finance committee.
I'm sorry,
Right, for the finance committee.
Jim Walton
Yeah.
for finance committee, April Stein for personnel, Elaine Paleo for select board, Walter Tibbetts as fire chief, and Kristen Burgess as acting police chief. And the reason that we are hoping to keep this committee, the reason we're not having as many members from the outside is we need to move quickly. We only have about 10 weeks to do all the work before the budget season. So we are hoping to be agile and move quickly on this committee. And I believe I was also to be ex officio for the committee, not a voting member.
Okay, Melissa or Eric, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I
And I
think
see
that,
one hand up.
I think that's, I'm okay.
Okay,
I'm okay.
Michael? Okay, thank you. Michael, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you can articulate the rationale for having Walter on the committee. I mean, it seems like if we're going to be taking an opportunity to step back and reimagine the fire department, that having the person who's been in charge of the fire department, involved with the fire department for decades, doesn't necessarily create an opening for reimagining. I think Walter's an invaluable resource for information. And maybe the committee can seek out the information from Walter, but you know, I was on the negotiating committee when we had the big hoo-ha a few years ago. And my experience is we really need to sort of have a reimagining discussion.
I think I think in our discussion we thought Walter was he holds the information. He understands fire better than anyone on that committee. And so I think it was a benefit to have him there, is what we had talked about. Like we have Kristen on the police study group. She's the one that holds the key to all the information we need as far as policing. So I think the two are kind of equal in that respect, that they're the ones that hold the information and can inform us, or inform the committee. In this case, it can inform the committee, and having it be a position on the committee, I think is being respectful of him having those 25, 30 years or more on the fire department.
Yeah, that's the difference between him and Kristen, I think. But information, I agree with you. For sure, he has the information. But I just wanted to understand it. Thanks.
Yeah, and I don't, I personally don't think it will preclude us from reimagining the fire department. So I think there's, you know, there's lots of information, yes, to get from Walter, and to also look at how the fire department is structured.
I would agree with that.
Do we have any appointments that we need to take a vote on tonight? I don't recall where we
I know
stand.
that Bob Groves also sent a letter from the building committee about appointing Mike Vinsky, and I don't know where that's at, but we should just put that on the future agenda or something.
Mhm.
Linda seems to have her hand up related.
Yeah, so you need to appoint all of those people you just.
Okay, so we haven't done, I just didn't recall whether or not we'd done any appointments at a previous meeting. Can we appoint them as a group, or should we do it one by one? Let's do it one by one.
One by one, yeah, for record.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do I hear, let's see if I can remember all of them now. Okay, good. Do I hear a motion to appoint Walter Tibbetts to the fire department committee?
Second.
So moved.
Yeah, the second.
Yeah, there you go.
Any
I'll do a
further
couple now.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, we'll do roll call.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do I hear a motion to appoint Elaine Paleo as the select board representative to the fire department committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a roll call.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do I hear a motion to appoint April Stein to the fire department study committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do I hear a motion to appoint Kristen Burgess to the fire department committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote here.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Carol, aye. Becky, did you have something to?
No, I
Yeah.
just think, even though I'm just ex officio, I think I have to get appointed as well.
Okay, do I have everybody?
No.
Jim,
Oh, Jim Walton. Do I hear a motion to appoint Jim Walton as the Finance Committee representative to the Fire Committee?
So moved.
second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. And do I hear a motion to appoint Becky Torres as ex officio member of the Fire Study Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. And Becky, I assume that this will get underway quickly?
Yes.
Okay, be great to get them moving as, again, we're heading into budget time. So thank you for your patience with all those votes, Melissa and Eric. Okay, so we are only 3 minutes behind schedule. The next item on the agenda is to the library trustees, and Marianne Antonellis, our librarian, are here this evening. The trustees met last night to vote on the site for the proposed new library, and the application is due, as I understand it, on December 3rd. And in that application, the library / town have to have identified a site. So I don't know if, just trying to scan through here. I know Kate Sell is here, and Michelle Regan-Ladd, and Marianne. So, and a couple of other, Brad, who's on the trustees. So who would like to speak this evening about the trustees' recommendation and what you want the select board? What are you recommending to the select board in terms of the site of the
Michelle
new
is
library?
speaking for us, Rita, tonight.
I am speaking, but my camera won't go on for some strange reason. This has never happened to me ever. And I tried to get help from my daughter and she couldn't figure it out either. And you probably saw me log out and come back in. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, yes, I'm speaking on behalf of the trustees, and I really apologize for not having my camera on. So we did, after a lengthy discussion last night about the pros and cons of both behind Town Hall and lot 032, ended up voting unanimously in favor of lot 032. It has a clean bill of health as far as where the site for the library would be. And it has a lot more pluses than the behind Town Hall, which did have some cons that I shared with the rest of the group that I found in our last library grant application. Some comments from the civil engineers and the architects that kind of really ended up swaying us towards those of us who were thinking about Town Hall towards lot 032. Do you want me to share what that was? Rita got to hear it last night because she was there.
I'd ask Eric and Melissa, how much detail would you like from the trustees around their thinking on those two sites? They're both, just for folks who are here who might not know, I mean, the library was looking at, again, at land behind the town hall and lot 032. These are both town-owned sites. The select board has jurisdiction over town-owned property, and therefore the select board has to vote to approve. And we, again, have the trustees and Marianne here tonight to explain. So maybe, the highlights, I was at the trustees meeting, so I heard the whole discussion, but, for Eric Melissa and everybody else who's here, maybe be good just to briefly summarize the highlights.
Sure, okay. I'll start with town hall. One of the main concerns from a lot of people, of the trustees, as well as people that any of us have talked to in town, is the poor visibility when you're trying to pull out from the town hall area. And so there were safety concerns about that. The information that I got from our last grant application was a direct quote that I read, and I'll read it tonight too, for the site investigation, comparing the two sites. And it was by the architects and the civil engineer who was from Sullivan and Sons. And what they said in the report was that there was limited place to build according to their schematic design due to the shape of the land. They stated, this is town hall, they stated that the most significant factor is it's not wide enough at 250 feet wide with access roads and parking for two buildings, and the library would overwhelm the area. They also said that to allow for parking, the library building would have to be several hundred feet off the road, which would put it in the middle of the greatest slant of the downward slope, which would require a large amount of fill to be brought in to level the site, which would be then the cost would be prohibitive. One of the things that I was thinking about, and probably those of you who work at town hall, they probably wondered about this as well, just the crowded site with the broadband little building there and the solar arrays that weren't there in 2010. And like that whole configuration, how would you deal with all of that? So those were the main things. Is there anything any of the trustees or Miriam would like to add? Those were the main highlights as far as the cons for the town hall. As far as the pros, I mean, the land's already cleared. There's the community gardens would have access to water. The fact that some people might like to have everything right together. One of the cons, of course, is that it's not really visible from the road. Anybody want to add anything else?
Just want to recognize Tim Logan is also here from the library trustee.
I see Kate Sell's hand.
And Savannah Boulette. Did I miss anybody else? Okay. Okay, and do you want to summarize lot 032?
Okay, Kate has something I think she wants to add. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize what Michelle said about the safety concern. It's really, there's no sidewalk by town hall. It's at that place at the top of the hill so that it's very difficult to see traffic coming from either direction. And we're really concerned, given how much we want the library to serve the whole community, including children. We're really concerned about safety issues at the behind the town hall site. Just to emphasize what Michelle said about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Michelle?
Want me to go to the, okay. As far as lot 032, it's be visible to all who drive by. It has 430 feet of road frontage, good visibility for traffic entering and leaving, plenty of space to actually choose a site. Since 2010, the Conway School of Design it had some alternative sightings, which we might consider. It's relatively flat. Soil samples and the water samples turned out fine, no concerns there at that site.
Could you stop there, Michelle? Because I think that's really important to sort of talk about the due diligence that was done on lot 032.
Yeah, Marianne has that down better than me. Do you mind, Marianne?
No, that's fine. So, so back in 2010, 11, and 12, so the very earliest testing that we did showed trace amount of PCBs in the soil, and which triggered further testing that Becky managed, because by the time we got to that, the library project was over. There was soil and water testing, quite extensive soil and water testing then, that could never duplicate those results or find other hazardous chemicals. But there was a 3-bay garage there, and there were debris piles. And the DEP recommended taking down the garage and clearing up the debris piles and then doing further soil testing after that. So this summer, Becky and the highway department really valiantly cleared that garage and cleared the debris piles on a really tight timeline and in difficult weather conditions. Everybody remembers the rain and then more rain. And then we did 10 soil borings at Lot 032, 8 right up front around where the library would be, and a little bit further back into the woods where some of the debris piles were, and then 2 further back in the woods. So going as far back as just over 1,300 feet. 9 of the 10 soil borings came back perfectly clear of any hazardous substances. There were no PCBs, there were no volatile organic compounds. The 10th soil boring did have gasoline, but that soil boring is the one that's the furthest back. It's there's a cement pad there. It's the site of a former military installation. And it is, it's more than 1,300 feet from the road. It's 900 feet from where any portion of the library site would be. And our engineers have very clearly stated that gasoline only travels 400 feet. So that tower or that military, whatever it was in operation from 1957 to 1967. And Becky will let me know if I have this right. And then they, they jumped ship or flew the coop. I think it was Air Force, and did some cleanup. And then they did some more cleanup in 1993. So it's really been a very long time. And Becky is working with DEP and the DOD to investigate best strategies for further investigation and remediation. But it's so far from the library site that it's not an issue for the library. The other test that we did at Lot 032 was a test of the water. So there are monitoring wells that the town just happens to have at Lot 032 and behind Town Hall. And we thought we would test those monitoring wells. Just sort of with the ability to do due diligence to take a look at what our groundwater looks like in those 2 locations. And the well at Lot 032 is a pretty shallow well. It did not have any, and that was about 600 to 700 feet. I don't remember exactly. I can look it up from the soil sample that had the gasoline. And it did not have gasoline in the groundwater there. And the big thing we were kind of thinking about when we were testing the water was PFAS, because we just had some wells in town test positive for PFAS, and it did not test positive for PFAS. It's not potable drinking water, but we weren't expecting that it would be, or thinking that it would become the well for the library. But it doesn't have hazardous chemicals like, volatile organic compounds or PCBs or PFAS. And so that was really good information to get about the quality of the site. One of the tests, one of the soil borings was also about 600 feet from the one that came up, and that one was clear. So, so there's that 400-foot rule. It didn't, at that 600-foot mark, there's no gasoline. And then it's another 300 feet before you get to the front where the library would be.
Okay, thanks, Marianne. Michelle, is there anything else that you want to add?
Just a couple of things. As far as Lot 032, there's significant open exposure for solar, which is ideal. Plenty of room for parking and overflow parking if needed. And that's, because that's a concern if it was behind town hall, if there was something going on at town hall and the library, parking might be tricky. And then the main con, it can be dealt with though on lot 032, and that there are some wetlands to the west, I believe, and a little bit of a high water table, which will cause the septic system probably to have to be raised. And that's about all we had. Is there anybody that on the trustees that wants to add anything else? It was a really lengthy discussion. Rita knows, she was there. So looks like Kate is going to speak then, I guess.
Yeah, if you guys could use the raised hand function, because I can't, there's so many people on the screen now, it's just easier. Okay, I see Tim and Kate. Okay, Kate first and then Tim, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I just think, just to again emphasize a point that Michelle made, which is that we had one test which showed apparently PCBs, but that test has not been replicable twice over a span of 12 years. And so I think it's just really important to note that we have not been able to duplicate that test, even though we've tried, to make sure that the soil is, that we have an accurate scientific assessment of the soil.
Well, I'd say that was a good thing that it's not replicable.
Absolutely. It casts doubt on the validity of the test, of the original test in my mind. Thank you.
Tim.
I just wanted to throw in that the index numbers used to consider something an issue, we're labeling gasoline, the lowest number on that scale is 100, and that's what the measurement was. So if it had measured 99, it would not have been an issue at all. So my understanding of that is that it's a very low number. I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Tim, you were referencing the gas at the far back of the site, the gasoline that was found, where there was I think some sort of pad, concrete pad back there.
Correct.
Melissa, Eric, do you have any questions for the trustees or for Mary Ann?
Yeah, I had a couple of comments that I was weighing this back and forth, which site, and I think lot 032 is a hands down winner in terms of all the things you mentioned. I would mention a couple other things. One is, I know like in the past meetings, there's been talk about the community gardens and so forth. And I really don't see why the community gardens couldn't be over there as opposed to the town hall. I mean, I like the community garden and the library should be in the same place. And that's not a problem at all, I wouldn't think. What else? I guess, the other thing I was thinking is in terms of lot 032, I mean, we have used lot 032 the last couple of years. Hopefully never will have to do it again, but we have used it for town meetings and so forth. I mean, it has, so if you put a building there, well, now what do we do? Now where do we have an emergency town meeting situation? So I think that there's a lot to be said for the town, for moving to 032.
I think you mean behind town hall for town meeting.
Yes, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Right.
Yeah, Eric, I do agree with you there. Where would we have a town meeting if we have another pandemic? That is a good space for one. And it is based on what the information we've been given. 032 looks like that's the best of the two spots. Rita, I think Mary Ann has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
was distracted because there was a message coming through on my machine. Mary Ann.
I'm taking my hand down.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
sorry. Anybody else? Trustees? Melissa, Eric? I think the one thing that I wanted to
No, not now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The one thing I wanted to just highlight around lot 032 is the fact that this is, as I said earlier, it is owned by the town of Shutesbury, and therefore, we now have knowledge of something of a gas bill. It sounds like it doesn't rise to the level of what we encountered at the fire station, which was quite extreme, very expensive to mitigate. But the town does have a responsibility, given our knowledge, to follow through on getting that site cleaned up. And I know Becky has already been in contact with DEP, and then I don't know if it's DOD or who else, at the federal level. But Becky, maybe you could just give us a quick update on that, because it's germane to this discussion, so I want to include it.
Sure. So when we were doing the soil tests back, I guess we're back at about 900 feet, Marianne, is that correct? Or is it 1,300?
1,300, yeah.
1,300 feet from the road. So there have always been tall tales about the cement pad. It had metal piping and tubes coming out of it. And there was some junk metal there. And the stories have been that during the Korean War, the resident who had leased the property to the Air Force would climb this tower and with binoculars look for enemy planes coming over Shutesbury. So we've had these stories for years, but when OTO, who was a licensed site professional that was assisting the library, did their report, they were able to identify that this in fact is a remote installation that the Air Force out of the Agawam base had installed and leased the property from the homeowners. The installation did include a tank. There is, in the removal process, they have notes that they removed a tank, which we assume was a gasoline tank. And they also removed over 100 tons of contaminated soil in 1995. So this property has always been curious to many of us. There are cranberries growing there. There's some strange moonscape-like vegetation on this parcel. And the fact is that DOD truly was leasing the tower, and they moved ahead to clean it up. But evidently, when they cleaned up, they failed to clean up everything. And when we were doing the soil samples at about 9 feet down to 15 feet, we hit PID readings for VOCs. And it's very clear when you smell soil that's reeking of gasoline, it's a smell that is very distinctive. And even though the report, as Tim said, says that all the tests score it at the most minimal possible reportable level for VOCs, it's probably due to the age of it. But now I have been in contact with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have taken all the reports that I have, and they are working backwards to figure out their level of responsibility. And DEP is aware of the situation. Their feeling is that the Army Corps will have very significant responsibility in the cleanup of this. So in the next couple of months, we'll be sorting this out. They did happily suggest that if we were in a hurry, we could take care of it ourselves. I let them know that we weren't in that much of a hurry to take on that project. So I'm looking forward to working with them to get this contained site cleaned up. I believe it's going to be very, very small in comparison to what we dealt with at the fire station.
Eric,
is that okay?
Yeah. Eric, Melissa, do you have any questions?
I just have one last question. I think Michelle said it. we're talking about a well instead of saying that well would not be potable water. Just to be clear, there will be potable water on the site. Is that correct? Okay.
And just to clarify that, when this well had not been, we had to purge it to get a test, but it's not
Right.
an operational well at this point. There is high turbidity and chloroform. I think things you would imagine you would find in a well that hasn't been used. This is not a well that is being pumped. It's only there to monitor the level of the water. So it hadn't been pumped in years.
Okay, good.
Melissa, any other questions? And back to the trustees, Michelle, Marianne, anything else you want to add
Brad
about?
has his hand up.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's hard to keep track. Brad?
Just one more thing to add. We felt, and a number of people who responded to us also felt, the aspect of Lot 032 that's particularly nice is that it would be a visible building. A lot of people were saying, we would love to have a library that we could see from the road. That's all.
Great, thank you. Okay, seeing no other hands. Eric and Melissa, do you feel comfortable going forward with a vote this evening, or do you feel like you need more information, or what's your pleasure?
I'm good.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to designate lot 032 as the site for the new Shutesbury Library? And I'm just
So
going to
moved.
check, Becky, does that cover, and Linda, does that cover everything? And Mary Ann, does that cover what you need for the application? Okay, sorry. Okay, so I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. So thank you to Mary Ann and to the trustees for coming forward. And I did attend a lot of the recent trustees meetings, and I appreciate all of the, as I know the other members of the select board, all of the due diligence that and what, under Mary Ann's kind of leadership and doing, so much research and really thoughtful discussion about what the best location for the library would be. Mary Ann?
Yeah, I just want to say that we got one other really good piece of information in that we tested the water in that monitoring well behind Town Hall. And I know that the Town Hall well that's up in the front of Town Hall is contaminated with salt, and the well in the back, right, Becky? It's the Town Hall well has a high salt level or something so that it's not potable. And that well in the back, right, whatever it is, some
Chloride,
chemical.
not
Okay.
sodium.
Right. And the monitoring well in the back doesn't have those issues or any issues. It's beautiful potable water. And so that's just good information to have, because Town Hall,
We
might
can
need a
put
new
it to
well
good
someday.
use.
Yes, you can drill a well for Town Hall and back there. I mean,
And
those
not have to share with you.
Right, those monitoring was, I'm very good at sharing. The monitoring wells are, we're just, those serve a purpose. And then we were able to use this to get this good information for these other purposes, and that was really good. So.
Well, we appreciate the library's contribution to
Yeah.
to that information, because it is very useful for the town. So thank you, and thank you to all of you for coming this evening,
And
and
thank
for all
you.
the,
Thank
for all
you
the
to all
time
of
you've
you.
put in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda, do you want to do the town administrator updates now, Becky, or I know we have some other folks here?
Could we do the assistant collector
Yes.
appointment first?
Yeah, I was thinking that made more sense.
That would
Okay,
be wonderful.
so I think I saw Ellen McKay here, our tax collector, and I know Ellen has been looking for an assistant collector. This has been in the budget for a while, and because of COVID and a variety of other things, it got put on hold. But Ellen's been our tax collector for how many years now?
I've been town collector for 46.
Only 46.
Since 1975.
We really, we don't want to ever lose Ellen, but at some point she might want to step aside. So the thinking has been that it would be really good to get somebody in as assistant collector to learn the ropes from somebody who is an expert.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not, but.
So Ellen, do you want to, I don't know sort of the process that's gone through, or Becky?
I'll jump in here.
Sure, please.
As Rita said, Ellen has long been wanting to bring in someone, but as we know, the town hall had been closed, and working closely with someone during COVID was a daunting task. So it has been put off. The personnel board was reviewing the situation earlier in October, and came across the concept and potential of inquiring with our treasurer, who has been doing a wonderful job for our town for the last 3 years, if he might have any interest in learning to become a collector, as well as doing the treasurer duties. Ryan has been changing career paths a little bit and had a little more time available. And so upon the personnel board suggestion, I brought the idea to Ryan and Ellen, and was delighted to find that both of them thought it was a good idea, a great idea. And it is very, very simple for them to come together. They work back to back in the finance office, and some of their time overlaps already. So they are already in close communication. And I am very excited about this possibility, and not so much about Ellen wanting to fully retire, but she is loves to take vacations and sometimes has to do other things. So having somebody who's well-trained that can step in and take over her office when she's not there, without it having to be her husband, who has done it in the past. We are looking forward to, hopefully the select board will agree and make this appointment for the part-time position tonight, and Ellen and Ryan can get started on their training, and then prepare for Ryan to fill in for an upcoming vacation Ellen will have. Ryan, did you want to?
Or Ellen, do you have anything to add, or Ryan?
My comment is only I'm thrilled. Actually, it's kind of like, what do I want to say, deja vu, because actually Ryan at one point said to me that he would love to learn the collector side. But at that point, he was in his previous profession, and there was just no time. But I know that he's been thinking about it for a while.
It just goes to show how some of the things you've said in your past life can haunt you.
Yeah. What comes around goes around. Exactly. Whoops. I hear a
Sorry,
puppy.
I didn't plan on my dogs barking too much during the meeting. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the opportunity to continue to work for Shutesbury and learn and grow a little more skill set in municipal finance side. I have this weird attachment to the municipal world that no one in my family understands anyway, but it means a lot to me. And everyone will tell you that Ellen is the best of the best when it comes to collecting. So there really is an invaluable opportunity here to be able to learn from someone with her experience and her knowledge. So I would very much appreciate the opportunity to do so.
So Eric or Melissa, any questions or comments?
Sounds good to me.
Just my recollection is, and this is just goes way back in my municipal history, is that there's within the Massachusetts statutes, there's a ability to do that combination. Is that right?
Oh,
That's
yes.
why we can
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
there,
So there's
first, yeah. There actually, when way back in the 90s, I was just a collector. We had a series of treasurers come through. And then at one point I ended up without a second job. And I said, I went for the treasurers and we opted not to combine them as a collector treasurer.
Mhm.
And, my thought on that was always, well, I would find another place, and it was basically, to be honest, it was because of the pension aspect. In order to get a good pension, you have to have a good salary. And I did a quick check, just looking at the salary that the combined position made. And there was no way I was going to get a decent pension out of it, even after God knows how many years. So I went outside to other towns and worked in other towns, keeping my collector's job there. And it's always been there for a split position. It's never been merged as one entity. It can be, but there again, do you want it done that way? And so I'm thrilled that this is coming, because it's going to be fun to work with Ryan, because this kid is sharp, to put it bluntly. Ryan just grasped the whole treasurer's thing amazingly fast, considering it's just the opposite. Anybody who works with numbers or in banking or anything, it's exact flip of what you're used to. And the terminology is different and everything else. And I just can't wait to show him what my side of the thing is.
Good.
I think it's a great idea to have a backup that's already familiar with town too, not bringing someone new in and such. So I think it works out great.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so do I hear a motion to appoint Ryan? I'm going to screw up your last name.
Mayu.
Mayu. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Mayu as the assistant tax collector for the town of Shutesbury.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Great, thank you, Ellen, and thank you, Ryan. Sounds like a dynamic duo here.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
And I do too. Let me tell you, you don't know how much I appreciate it. There's nothing worse than going on a week's vacation, coming back and have to face a week's worth of work on top of trying to stay current. It's hard.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, thank you. Thank you
okay.
both. And
right,
Ellen,
thank
thanks
you.
for your many years of
Thank you.
service.
And Ryan, I will not be in tomorrow. I've got MCTA meeting.
All right, I'll talk to you offline, Ellen. We'll set up some time.
Okay.
You
very
guys can
good.
talk later.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right, good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
So let's see, let's do the minutes and then we'll do the town administrator update. Does that cover everything? I didn't forget anything here, right? Okay, so we have minutes from October 26th. I was sick that evening, so I was not at the meeting. So I'll rely upon Melissa and Eric. I think you've seen the draft minutes. Any comments? Do we hear a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from October 26, 2021.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
And Farrell abstain, because I was absent. Okay, last but not least, town administrator updates.
There has been a flurry of activity and hiring around here, which has been very exciting. I did want to expand that on the interview prior to the select board meeting late tonight by phone. We were able to finally reinstitute practice that Tom Harding had started, where we pulled together an ad hoc group of people to interview the candidate, not just from a police perspective, but to get a more general perspective. Eric was at the interview, and we had one of the police officers, the acting chief, and myself, and we will.
Jim
try to-
Logan and Jim Logan.
And Tim Logan.
Tim Logan, I'm sorry.
Tim Logan. The wonderful part is we want to get back to including the public in the review of people before the select board has a chance. Just Tom seemed to think it was really important just for his incoming potential officers to get a feel of the community and hear from people and hear questions. Tim had a ton of questions, which was great. Eric had a bunch too. So ongoing, I know that hopefully we've stabilized the loss of Marcus at this point. But in the spring, we hope to continue that practice. So I wanted to commend the acting chief for doing that. I think it's an important thing to do. The other thing that's been percolating in town hall is we got the big screen smart TV in the basement, which we have, which is functioning mostly because of Melissa Makepeace O'Neill and her technical skills, which mine fell short. I've never seen a smart TV before, and she had it all connected and working. We've used it in 2 police study group sessions. We don't have it fully working for the public yet, but we hope to in a couple of weeks. Today, I just received the OWL. The OWL is Melissa's going to come help get that set up. The OWL is a combination conferencing video. It's a camera, it's a microphone, and it's what else? A speaker.
And it's smart.
And it's smart. It'll spin around and activate to whoever is speaking so that that person will be in the video. So that is the last piece that will attach to the smart TV system to make hybrid meetings workable and easy to listen to. Melissa did a number of test runs at police study committees that we had a lot of trouble with sound. This machine should solve the rest of our sound issues. And so that's a big deal. I know that Grace has also brainstormed. Rita has handed us a lot of information from Amherst that help guide us to a solution. So that's a big, wonderful thing that's happened. I have phone calls into the Army Corps of Engineers regarding the, what are we calling it? Where the B9 contaminated site on Lot 032 that is halfway back on that long 20-acre site. It's way deep in the woods. But once I get through with him, we'll be able to, I'll be able to report on the status of that and hopefully get our full report into DEP. So it's been a busy season, a busy couple of weeks, and it's going to continue to be. We have an additional meeting next week where we'll take on more challenges and make sure our committees are aware of their roles and full authority and continue on into budget season, which is going to come hard and fast. We have both our police and fire departments under review, which is a very challenging situation, and hopefully won't have too many budgetary impacts. But the budget season is coming, and the last thing I want to tell the select board about is on the 20th, the region is calling for an early town meeting.
Vicki, that's the one question I was going to ask you tonight during your updates, if you had a date.
Yeah.
When is it? November 20th?
It's like the 20th, that's right, of November.
Yeah.
That's a Saturday.
It's
Yep,
a Saturday,
always a
10 days
Saturday.
away.
I thought we weren't going to do these anymore.
They're actually starting them early. They want to do more.
Oh, great.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
What time, do we know what time, Becky? Like what time? it
Usually
happens?
I
9
would
o'clock,
imagine
isn't it?
9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it runs from what, Melissa, 9 to 11 or something, or Eric
Yeah,
mentioned
it's
it
a
does
couple
before,
hours.
right?
No, no, 9
Yeah,
to
for
11.
finance
yeah,
committee, yeah.
And Eric, don't be late. You don't want to make us nervous.
now is this virtual or in person?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. That I
Right, 'cause
don't know.
schools are in, so where they have it in person or they have it virtually?
I have to get you that information.
That would be good to know.
Yeah.
You know, it snowed last year. It was nice not having to drive in.
Yeah.
It snowed one other year while we were there.
Just in terms of the update, Becky, so we meet on the 17th again and kind of a special meeting with, and Donna McNichol will be at
And the
that
Conservation
meeting,
Commission.
and the Conservation Commission. Okay, and then we'll be meeting on the 23rd. And I know that there have been, as Eric mentioned earlier, a couple of appointments, discussions about committee appointments, so.
Well, hopefully we can do the
there's that.
land use clerk on the 17th.
Okay, and then for committees, there was that inquiry from Bob Groves about the building committee. We need to discuss that on the 23rd, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we can take up the recreation committee then on the 23rd too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we might need to vote additional members. I want to talk to them. They said they're doing a lot of work. And I want to find out if 7 members would make sense for them or not, if the select board
Okay.
is going to make a voted change.
Okay. Linda, I saw your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Rita. I also want to let you know that both the athletic club and Clark Auto Wrecking will be coming on the 23rd for their license renewals.
Okay, good, thanks.
Oh, that
Yeah, I
already.
think it's just,
Oh.
yeah, good to have kind of a little bit of a preview of what's,
Oh, well,
Coming
just
up.
to make it an even longer night, Kevin emailed during the meeting that he's looking at the 23rd for the classification hearing. I
okay,
had thought I thought he might do it on the 17th, so I'll work that out with him, but it'll be
Okay.
either the 17th or the 23rd for the classification hearing.
okay, great. All right, so anything else, Becky, in terms of your report, or Eric and Melissa? Questions?
The only thing I had is I just want to make sure that we're somehow answering letters to this, like I know Elaine sent a letter to the select board, and who answers that? Do we answer that, or? I answered it because she was at my house today taking a walk, but that's not, we probably don't want to do that, but that way.
I'll resend that sentence that Melissa used to use.
Yeah, and I have it. It's more a question of when do I respond and when do you respond? So I just want to
Okay, so
get
we'll
that
talk more.
clarified. Yeah.
Rita,
Sometimes
when
I respond and then I question, should I have responded? So Becky, you and I should just have a check-in about that to make sure
Okay.
that in fact, yes, that people get some sort of acknowledgement of their
Right.
of their
Sometimes I'm
emails.
just afraid that that
Sure.
people aren't getting that,
Yep. Yep.
And
Rita, when you respond, if you would do it from the select board account, not just the Rita Farrell account at shutesbury.org, but do it from select board, so we all
Yeah,
know.
I don't
who
usually
responded.
respond from my Gmail account because I don't get things to my Gmail account. So.
right. The other thing I would say
No,
is just
I
reply
haven't
all.
seen
Becky, I wouldn't
responses,
respond
that's
all
why
if
I
I
called.
acknowledged it just to avoid open meeting. When
Say
I
that
would
again,
do it, I would
Melissa?
just reply. When I was doing it, I would just reply to the person saying that we received the email.
Right,
basically
yeah, no,
that's
I
what
had
said.
that, I have that example, but I haven't been using my personal email. So,
Right.
No. Oh, so you have been using the select board account?
yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen them, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the only thing I would
CC'd
say
you
is when you-
on one that we talked about today.
Oh, that one.
when
I
you
did.
do that, reply all so that we, Melissa and I, we know it happened. Just that's all, you know what I mean? sometimes I don't, maybe you have responded, but I don't know you've responded. So I'm going, do we
Yeah,
ever
so if you
respond to
put
that?
in selectboard@shutesbury.org and do a reply all.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Anyway, no,
Okay.
we'll
But-
work it out.
Again, I just want to be clear with you, Becky, about
Yeah.
when I'm responding and when you should respond. And we talk about this,
Yeah.
but let's have further discussion.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I think that's it for tonight. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Don't all speak at once. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Dr. I.
And Farrell, aye. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, good
See you
night.
later.
Good night. Thank you.